Most people never find a reason to live. Viktor Frankl explains why there is a question that quietly follows us throughout our lives. It appears in moments of loneliness, after painful losses, during sleepless nights, and sometimes in the middle of ordinary days when everything seems fine. The question is simple: why keep going? Most people spend years trying to avoid this question. They bury themselves in work, entertainment, shopping, social media, relationships, ambitions, and distractions. Yet no matter how much noise surrounds them, the question remains: why am I here? What is all this for? What makes a life worth living? Few people explored this question more deeply than Viktor Frankl. Unlike many philosophers who reflected on suffering from the comfort of libraries and universities, Frankl was forced to confront it in one of the darkest places humanity has ever created. He survived Nazi concentration camps. He witnessed starvation, cruelty, humiliation, disease, and death on a scale that most of us can barely imagine. Everything was taken from him: his freedom, his possessions, his career, his family, his future. And yet, after enduring horrors that would break most people, Frankl arrived at a conclusion that changed countless lives. The meaning of life is to give life meaning. This insight may sound simple, but it contains a profound truth. Because according to Frankl, what keeps human beings alive is not comfort, not pleasure, not success, not wealth, not power. What keeps us alive is meaning. And when meaning disappears, something inside us begins to die long before the body does. Today we live in a world filled with conveniences that previous generations could never have imagined. We have endless entertainment, unlimited information, instant communication. More material abundance than most people throughout history. Yet anxiety, depression, loneliness, and despair continue to rise. Why? Frankl believed that modern society suffers from what he called the existential vacuum. People have everything to live with, but nothing to live for. They wake up, go to jobs they dislike, earn money they don't truly need, buy things they don't genuinely want, and repeat the cycle year after year. Eventually a frightening realization emerges: what is the point? This question is not new. It haunted prisoners in concentration camps. It haunts people today, only the scenery has changed. Frankl noticed something remarkable while imprisoned: some prisoners gave up, others endured. The difference was rarely physical strength, it wasn't intelligence, it wasn't luck, the difference was meaning. Those who had a reason to continue were far more likely to survive. Some dreamed of seeing their loved ones again. Some felt responsible for unfinished work. Some believed they still had a mission to fulfill. Some simply refused to surrender their dignity. These people possessed a psychological strength that could not be measured. As Friedrich Nietzsche famously wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Frankl quoted these words often because he saw them proven every day. Human beings can tolerate extraordinary suffering if they believe it serves a purpose. Without purpose, even minor difficulties can feel unbearable. This truth extends far beyond concentration camps. Think about your own life. When have you felt strongest? Was it when life was easy? Or was it when you were pursuing something meaningful? People willingly endure years of study for a dream career. Parents sacrifice sleep and comfort for their children. Athletes train through pain. Artists struggle through uncertainty. Entrepreneurs risk failure. Why? Because meaning transforms suffering. Without meaning, suffering feels pointless. With meaning, suffering becomes sacrifice, and sacrifice can be noble. One of Frankl's most famous insights was this: everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Think about the power of that statement. Most of us believe freedom depends on external conditions. Frankl disagreed. Even in a concentration camp, he discovered a form of freedom that no guard could take away. The freedom to choose how to respond. This does not mean we control events. It means we control our attitude toward events. Life constantly presents us with situations we did not choose: illness, loss, failure, aging, disappointment, death. We cannot always control what happens, but we can decide what those experiences mean. This is where many people become trapped. They spend years wishing reality were different. They wait for life to become easier. They wait for perfect conditions, they wait for motivation, they wait for happiness. But Frankl believed life asks something different of us. Instead of asking what we expect from life, we should ask what life expects from us. That subtle shift changes everything. Suddenly we stop seeing ourselves as victims waiting for rescue. We become participants, contributors, creators of meaning. Frankl argued that meaning can be discovered in three primary ways. The first is through creating something, a work, a contribution, a service, a mission. Human beings are naturally driven to create. Whether it's writing a book, building a business, raising a family, teaching others, or helping a community, creation gives us purpose. The second path is through love, not merely romantic love, love in its broadest sense, the appreciation of beauty, connection with nature. Deep friendships, compassion for others. Frankl believed that love allows us to see the unique essence of another human being. He wrote, "The salvation of man is through love and in love." For many people, a single meaningful relationship becomes the reason they continue despite overwhelming hardship. The third path is perhaps the most profound, finding meaning in suffering. This idea sounds strange, perhaps even offensive. After all, who wants suffering? Frankl did not glorify suffering. He never suggested we seek it. But he recognized a difficult truth. Some suffering is unavoidable. And when we cannot eliminate suffering, we still retain the power to determine its meaning. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. These words are especially relevant today. Many people spend enormous energy trying to change circumstances beyond their control, the economy, other people, the past, their childhood. Their mistakes, their regrets. But true growth often begins when we ask, what can this experience teach me? How can this pain transform me? What responsibility does this challenge place upon me? Frankl once treated an elderly man devastated by the death of his wife. The man was drowning in grief. Frankl asked him, what would have happened if you had died first and your wife had survived you? The man replied that such suffering would have been terrible for her. Frankl gently pointed out that she had been spared that pain. And the price of sparing her was his own grief. Suddenly his suffering acquired meaning. His pain became an act of love. The circumstances had not changed, but the meaning had, and that changed everything. Perhaps this is the deepest lesson Viktor Frankl offers us. Meaning is not something we invent, it is something we discover. It already exists within the challenges, responsibilities, relationships, and opportunities before us. The tragedy is that many people search for meaning in the wrong places. They chase pleasure, they chase status, they chase fame, they chase wealth. None of these things are inherently bad. But they cannot satisfy the deeper hunger of the human spirit. Frankl observed, happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensue. In other words, happiness arrives indirectly. It emerges when we devote ourselves to something larger than ourselves. The more desperately we chase happiness, the more elusive it becomes. The same applies to success. Success is often a byproduct, not a destination. People who achieve great things are usually focused on a mission rather than on becoming successful. Meaning comes first, success follows. Or it doesn't, but meaning remains. This perspective offers tremendous freedom. Because if meaning is the goal, then every day presents opportunities to succeed. You do not need millions of dollars, you do not need fame. You do not need perfect circumstances, you only need a reason to get up, a reason to contribute, a reason to endure, a reason to love. A reason to continue. Perhaps that is why Frankl's ideas continue to resonate decades after his death. They remind us that life is never merely happening to us. Life is asking something of us, even now, especially now. And the answer is not found in abstract theories, it is found in our choices, in our responsibilities, in our courage. In our willingness to carry our burdens with dignity. The question is not whether life has meaning. The question is whether we are willing to discover it. Because somewhere beyond distraction, beyond comfort, beyond fear, there is a purpose waiting to be found. And once we find it, everything changes. As Viktor Frankl reminded us, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Perhaps the most important task of your life is not to become richer, more famous, or more successful. Perhaps it is simply to find your why. And once you do, no circumstance will ever be able to take it away.